Hey, what's up you guys? Today I'm doing my February wrap up, and February was another amazing reading month for me. I have read 32 out of 60 books for my Goodreads goal so far already in 2021, and it is literally just like the 28th of February, so that is like crazy to me. I will not be talking about all of the books that I read in February in this video because if you want to know about the French books that I read, I have a video for that, which is here. And if you want to know about the LGBT classics that I read, I also have a video on that. That is an ongoing series, and there will be a new video every month probably for that, so definitely check that out as well. This is the thumbnails, and I'll obviously have the links in the descriptions. And then there's a couple books that I just don't really have anything to say, so for the sake of time, I'm just going to skip those. But if you enjoy this video, please leave a like and please subscribe, and then definitely go and check out those other videos after this one. The first book that I'm going to talk about is The Gun Slinger by Stephen King, and this is book 1 in the Dark Tower series, which is his epic fantasy series that I am quite excited to get started in. So in this first book, we are following the titular character, the Gunslinger, as he follows the man in black, who is like his enemy that he's been following for years. He is continuing to follow him and hopefully catch up to him, and it is very much like, that sounds so vague, and it's because it is vague. This book is like hard to kind of describe what really happens because it is like very much a journey book, like just setting up the world and that type of thing. And Stephen King actually rewrote this to make it fit in more for the rest of the series and fix any like continuity errors and stuff like that after he finished the series. But I read the original version, so my reading experience is probably different from some other people. But I enjoyed this, and I think it was an interesting first book. It definitely opened up the world. It introduced quite a lot of questions about like who the man in black is and who our main character is and why they're chasing each other and why it matters, and then like the conversations and stuff. Like, it is an interesting first book. However, I definitely don't think it is like amazing, and the main reason I'm going to continue reading on is because I'm doing it as like a buddy read with the Nerdy Narrative Discord. But to be honest, I could easily just never pick up this second book. If I was just reading it on my own, I probably wouldn't even care or think about it. So I did enjoy this, but it was just like a 3-star book. Like, it was okay, it was good like for setting up like some interesting questions for the series, but it didn't blow me away or anything like that. I also read 2 little short essay collections this month, and the first one was The Master's Tool Will Never Dismantle the Master's House by Audre Lorde, and the second one was Dark Days by James Baldwin. And I'm just going to talk about them together because they're very much the same kind of themes. They are both about racism in America and their authors' experience with racism and just racism as a society, how it impacts like everyone. And Audre Lorde also talks about feminism and being a black feminist and topics like that. I really enjoyed these. I do think that I preferred Audre Lorde's to James Baldwin's. I think that hers were more structured and his were much more emotional, which I did enjoy, and I enjoyed reading them, but I think that Audre Lorde managed to get her point across better in a way. I would definitely recommend these. They were both about 50 pages. They're both part of like the Penguin Mini Moderns series, and you know, they literally cost like £1 each, so I definitely would recommend them. I think that both these authors are just so amazing. Like, their voices are so strong, they're so intelligent, just like the topics that they can talk about and the way that they bring all these words together. Like, it's just like so impressive to me to read things like this, especially in like non-fiction. I don't read a lot of it, and this like definitely grabbed my interest, and I read both books in like one sitting because I just thought that both authors were like so just talented and so smart, and you know, I will never be on that level, but I just really enjoyed these. A self-published book that I read this month was Beyond the Gates by Kayla Davenport, who is a fellow booktuber, so I was very happy to support her and read her book. I will leave the link to her channel in the description, but this is a YA dystopian about Emma, who is raised in a government facility for children with special powers, and her power is that when she touches people, she can see parts of their future. So one day she is sent on a mission to gather information on a normal human called Jesse, who is planning on blowing up the facility that all of these kids are in as retaliation for him blaming the government for the deaths of his parents. And it was because people from this facility were the ones that killed his parents. And then obviously they get to know each other, and an unlikely or kind of likely friendship forms through they're uncovering each other's secrets and stuff like that. I just really enjoyed this. I was really invested in the story straight away. I think that both Emma and Jessie were very engaging and interesting characters, and I thought that Kayla's writing style as well was really well done. I think that this book was really well edited, which is something that you definitely notice, or I definitely notice when I'm reading self-published books, is like sometimes they just need a little bit more editing, or you think the author has definitely just edited themselves and there's things that, you know, someone else could have maybe cut out or fixed. And I just think this book was really well polished and I was very impressed. It's definitely a YA style of writing, but it is a YA book, so, you know, you can't really complain about that. I just thought it was really well done and I really enjoyed it. I will also say that I really liked the found family aspect. I love that in books, and Jessie has a foster family and 2 younger foster siblings, and their like relationship was just so pure and so lovely, and it was my favourite part of the book. So I would definitely recommend this if you are looking for self-published books, which you should be. It's always fun to support self-published authors and discover some like hidden gems. I would definitely say this is a great one to read. I read it really quickly as well. Like I said, it is a YA book, but it was well written. I love the characters, I love the plot, and again, I think that also the fact that Kayla is a booktuber should give you like that extra little push to go and read the book. So I will, like I said, leave the link to her channel in my description, and yeah, I was just really impressed with this and I would definitely read the next one in the series. I also read Scarlet by Marissa Meyer this month, and this is book 2 in the Lunar Chronicles series, and it is a continuation of the first one but also introducing a new character. So at the end of the first one, well, I don't want to say, but the main character of the first one is Cinder, and this book continues on her adventure, but it also introduces us to Scarlet, who is basically Little Red Riding Hood, and this doesn't really stick to the retelling format of Little Red Riding Hood so much as the first one did to Cinderella. It is very loose, but it is like 2 separate stories for a lot of it, and then at the end, Cinder and Scarlet's stories interconnect, and then obviously in book 3, it will have them working together because they're now on the same team from the end of this book. But I enjoyed this. I thought it was really fun. But to be honest, I still think that this series like is really fun, but it's nothing special and there's no like deeper meanings. When I was thinking about like what I could compare this book to, I thought about like a popcorn movie, like a big blockbuster where it's really fun and engaging and you're really glad you watched it, but after 2 weeks, it's like gone. Not even 2 weeks, like 2 days, it's like gone from your mind. Like you don't even think about it. Like it's just fun at the time, but I don't know. It's just like nothing in this series sticks with me. Like the characters, the plots. There's not really any deeper. Well, actually, there is some deeper themes, but it's like I don't know. None of it really sticks with me. So again, I will probably continue this series. I hopefully will get the other ones from the library. I really don't want to buy them, but I just think that this series is like not that great. It's nothing special. It's just like a nice, fun YA like palette cleanser. I don't know. Like when you've been reading like some heavy books, this is like a fun one to like jump into just for like something quick to read. I also finally read a Toni Morrison book this month. I read Song of Solomon, and this is like my 4th time trying to film like what this book is about because it's hard to describe. The basic premise is that we are following our main character, Milkman Dead, as he discovers secrets about his parents and their relationship and their life. And then he kind of goes down a rabbit hole of discovering lots of different secrets and also just the history of his family. And then there is more to it than that. There's a lot of like deeper themes, unlike Scarlet. This is like the opposite of Scarlet. This obviously deals with a lot of topics about being black and being wealthy and black. It is set between the 1930s and the 1960s, and it has just a lot of discussion on racism and segregation, and real life events are talked about. For example, Emmett Till, his death is brought up and is like plays a part, and you know these like themes of racism. It is really interesting and I really enjoyed it. It took me a while to read. I thought I would read it faster than I did because it is quite short, but a lot of these like other themes and stuff like mean that it is quite a heavy read and it gives you like a lot to think about. So there's just a lot of different layers to this story, and as you can tell, I'm like struggling to kind of describe it and like what it's about, but I do really recommend it. I did really enjoy it and I would definitely read more Toni Morrison books. I thought her writing style was really beautiful. Like, she has an amazing style of prose, which I always appreciate. So yeah, I would definitely read more books by her, and I do recommend this one. It's just like hard to kind of discuss because there's a lot of different layers to it, and I can't really do it justice in like this little short wrap up. Then at the same time, I don't think I'm intelligent enough to do a whole video on it. So I don't know. I did enjoy this, and I do recommend it. I am also happy to announce that I have finally caught up on all of the main series Shadowhunter books. I read Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare this month, and just in time for Chain of Iron to come out in like 2 days. And this is the first book in the Last Hours series within the wider Shadowhunters series, and it is the sequel to the Infernal Devices, following the children of the main characters from the Infernal Devices. So there's a lot going on, and I enjoyed this. However, I do have to say that it is my least favourite Shadowhunters book that I have read, possibly so far. Like, yeah, I would say so. Like, it is my least favourite, other than maybe the Bane Chronicles, which is like a short story collection, so I don't think it even really counts. But I just think that the plot in this one was kind of weak. The romantic relationships were kind of weak. They were kind of boring. There was nothing like super interesting going on there. And the stakes never felt very high. Like, the action was just kind of meh. Like, everything about this book was just kind of average. And I did still enjoy it, and I gave it 4 stars because I mean, I always love being in the Shadowhunter world. Like, I'm obsessed with it. But I just think that everything was kind of weak. And I did like all of the characters. However, I really struggled to remember who was who, because all of the main characters from the Infernal Devices, they all have so many kids between them, and like Cassandra Clare wants you to know every single one of these kids, and it was just like hard to remember like whose parents were like who, and like I don't know, I just could not keep track of it, and I kept getting like characters confused and like mixed up, like who was who, and like there's also, I hate this in books when like characters have nicknames, because it just confuses me even more. So the main character, Cordelia, gets called Cordelia, Layla, and Daisy, and like that's not hard to remember really if it's like a small cast of characters. But there was so many characters overall that I was like, who is Layla? And then I realized like it was Cordelia, and like I don't know, like just little things like that. I did still enjoy this, and I'm still excited for Chain of Iron. I'm hoping it's much better than this though, because so far this is my least favourite series out of all the Shadowhunter series. And finally, I read The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy, and this is basically about 5 people whose lives are very interconnected between their romantic relationships, their marriages, family bonds, love affairs, crushes, you name it. Like, these people are all very interconnected in each other's lives, and it is set in a small rural community out in like the heathland of England, which this is a Victorian novel as well, I should say. The heathland is like just like a wide like open area, I don't know, like fields, I don't know. I didn't even know what heathland was until I read this book. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars. I was not expecting it. I went into this with kind of low expectations. I'd heard a lot of good things about Thomas Hardy, but for some reason I just didn't think that I would really connect with his writing. But I actually really enjoyed it. I thought that his writing style was great. It was a little descriptive at times, a little too descriptive at times, but once you get into the flow of it, I thought it was just good. I really enjoyed it, and I liked like how much detail he gave to the environment. In a way, it reminded me of Wuthering Heights, this story with like the families interconnected and like the wide landscape, and it's very rural and that type of thing. And then also just like the atmosphere, I don't know, it did like give me Wuthering Heights vibes at times. It's nowhere near as dark as Wuthering Heights, although I will say it did have some like darker moments and some like crazy stuff does go on. There's a lot of drama in this book, like so much drama, you would not even believe. And the characters were also really interesting as well, especially Eustacia, I think that's how you pronounce it, who is very proud. She's very ambitious for her life. She thinks she's like above living in the heathlands of England. Like, she wants to go to Paris and become like, I don't know what we'd call like I'm not even gonna try, but yeah, you know, like she wants to go to Paris and be like fancy and like leave this small community, and the rest of the community thinks that she's like a witch and she's just like a weirdo. And yeah, she's just like such an interesting character. I really was not expecting such an interesting female character from Thomas Hardy. I don't know, I just had like prejudices, I guess, that they would be more male focused, but I was wrong and I really enjoyed this. So if you have read some Victorian classics and stuff and you haven't read any Thomas Hardy, I would say this is a really good one to start with. It's the first one I have read by him and I will definitely be reading more. So again, this is not all of the books I read in February. I have 2 other videos. I have a video on French books and a video on LGBT classics. So definitely go and check those out. They are much more put together than this. I feel like a lot of these books I struggled to describe what they're about, but I enjoyed like almost every book I read this month, I would say. And the only like disappointment really was maybe the Shadowhunter one, which kind of breaks my heart to say. But yeah, hopefully Chain of Iron is better. I did still enjoy it. Like, I still give it 4 stars. I don't know, it just didn't live up to the other ones to me. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, please subscribe. Definitely go and check out those other videos, and I will see you in my next one.